Alright, let's talk about this now. This has been a topic I skirted around in my KATSEYE videos, mostly because I told myself that I'll only make a video once we get formal confirmation from Hybe or Geffen about whether Manon will return or whether she is officially out of the group. The silence, I think, speaks to a lot of things. For those who don't know, what happened and why am I compelled to talk about this situation? Well, let me set the scene for you first. KATSEYE is a global girl group that is mostly known for doing the songs Gnarly, Touch, and a lot of viral songs on TikTok that a lot of people have opinions about, me included. However, there is no denying that these girls are becoming incredibly popular. Despite their rising popularity, on February 20, 2026, it was announced that Manon Bannerman, KATSEYE's only black member, will be going on hiatus. The reasons for this hiatus given by the company, Hybe and Geffen, were the usual ones, how Manon's taking the time to rest and focus on her physical and mental well-being. However, Manon would later release her own statement saying, "Hi friends, I want you to hear this from me. I'm healthy, I'm okay, and I'm taking care of myself. Thank you for checking in. Sometimes things unfold in ways we don't fully control, but I'm trusting the bigger picture. Thank you for standing by me. I love you endlessly, and I can't wait to see you again." Given the different tones and conflicting information in both of these statements, a lot of people were beginning to speculate if Manon is leaving KATSEYE or, even worse, has been kicked out of the group. After all, Hybe had a track record of putting members of their groups on hiatus before these members officially leaves the group. But there was something different, deeper even, with Manon's situation. It sparked a conversation about black women in the pop industry and the way black women and girls are treated in these girl groups. In this video, I want to discuss this topic and provide my view of this whole situation. However, since I'm not black, I might not be able to speak to the full impact of this situation. I will try my best, but I highly recommend you check out videos or TikToks about this topic from black content creators. First of all, it's important to support them, and second of all, they can provide a better perspective because this is something that is impacting their community. Without further ado, let's get started. Part 1. Only there to serve a purpose. I was watching a video from Kenny JD about this girl group Girlicious. I have no idea who that group was because I'm not American or Canadian, so who are these people? I really like Kenny JD's videos in general, so I watched the video and I learned a lot. The biggest things that stuck out for me from the video was the fact that she mentioned Manon and KATSEYE explicitly, and that there's this segment about the subsequent removal of a dark-skinned black member of Girlicious once the group decided to move on from an R&B image to a more pop image. The whole thing kind of made me feel awful because is it just me, or does it feel like the black members were often there to serve a purpose, and once they've served their purposes, they are removed from the groups, or just in general, mistreated? In the case of Manon, she was scouted because she was pretty popular on the internet even before KATSEYE. These pictures are really popular just because Manon is really pretty here. Like, I've seen these pictures before I've even seen KATSEYE. That's why I was like, that girl seems familiar. The team reached out to Manon on Instagram because they saw star potential. There was a bit of hesitance from her part, but Manon ultimately decided to audition and to train. When it was announced that Manon would be part of KATSEYE, it was huge that a black woman is officially the face of the group. The person people see and immediately go, "Oh my god, that's KATSEYE." But it is weird and frustrating that Manon was scouted and then she trained and then she got her spot in the group, but Hybe's and Geffen's treatment of her is a bit awful. We can point to the documentary where the narrative crafted around Manon was how she's lazy, how she missed a lot of rehearsals, causing a lot of friction between her and the other girls. The other girls did not like that Manon missed a lot of rehearsals, and the girls were portrayed to have this really big problem with her. Eventually, the girls did make amends, and Manon showed up more and put in even more work to catch up to the other people who have trained longer. But it's still awful because this narrative of Manon being lazy still continues even after the documentary. In a Rolling Stone article about Manon's hiatus, they wrote, "In November, the companies launched the sale of a merch package that featured a quiz page personalized to each KATSEYE member. For Bannerman, one question read, 'What does Manon think is her best feature?' The options were her sense of humor, her selfishness, her laziness, or her quiet nature. Even the framing of the question, 'What does she think about herself?' encourages speculation that doesn't reflect reality but distorts her narrative. Like, who approved this? Her laziness, her selfishness. The other mistreatment that Manon experienced, as pointed out by the fans, is how, number one, she is hidden behind a member for most of the choreography in Debut, their debut song. Number two, her face on the Glossier featured post was covered, like Mike Wazowski. Number three, she was initially initially not featured in the Monster High collaboration photo dump because apparently a photo of her was not sent to whoever was responsible of uploading the photo dump. And in the same collaboration, she wasn't featured as prominently in the video where the girls received their collab dolls from Mattel. I do have to give a disclaimer that certain segments of the internet love reading into things where there's nothing actually there. But I would say when fans pointed this out, it's not entirely unfounded. It's because it's veering a little too close to this pattern in pop culture where black people are often deemed, as harsh as this sounds, replaceable or disposable even. Think about the black people die first trope in horror films that's pretty prevalent, especially in the past, where these characters' purpose is probably only to raise the stakes of the films. And another example of this is there's someone on Twitter or Tumblr, I can't remember where I read this post, but they pointed out there are too many times where there are black female characters who are the first girlfriends for male characters, but they are then often removed to make way for the next female love interest, who usually tend to be white. Mainstream examples include stuff like the animated show Invincible or the show The Boys. Keeping in mind that trope, right? It just feels weird to me that Manon got scouted, got flown over to train, but then they created this lazy narrative in the documentary about her. Then when she rightfully got her place within the group, people praise Hybe and Geffen for having a diverse girl group and then they mistreat her. It feels like Hybe and Geffen only want Manon because they want this pat on the back for being inclusive, but they don't fully consider the responsibility of actually protecting this young black girl. It's really upsetting that they're willing to let people subscribe to this narrative that Manon is lazy and even give fuel to the fire. I'm not saying that this is what happened, but this whole situation looks like that. It's the optics of what happened. The hardships black women had to face in the pop industry is well documented. There's a reason why a lot of people started talking about the mistreatment of black women in girl groups after the announcement of Manon's hiatus. In the previous Rolling Stones article I mentioned, there was a section talking about Melody Thornton's experience as the sole black member of the Pussycat Dolls. The one thing that I always kept in mind was, you can't be messing up. You got to keep it together because you are the black girl. People know that, people see it, and they want to see you win, so you must prevail through any adversity, whatever it looks like, she told Essence in 2024. I didn't always know I was being seen. At one point, she began to experience panic attacks and developed insecurities around being branded as the weakest link in the Pussycat Dolls. Still, she didn't disclose her struggles to anyone. She said, because I didn't want anyone to say that I was lazy or that I was making things up. And that's the thing. I do not think Manon is lazy. If she is lazy, she wouldn't be able to keep up with the other girls because the other girls have so much more experience performing. Manon does put in the work and pushes herself to the limits. She even got COVID at some point, fainted at the airport, and she still showed up at performances. And while she did miss some events, I think her reasons are justified. In KATSEYE's interview for The Cut, Manon talked about her upbringing and the pressure of not wanting to be perceived as lazy. Manon had a reputation on Popstar Academy for being absent from rehearsals and had to miss a date on their first North American tour owing to illness. It's the way I grew up, she says. America has a very different culture when it comes to work-life balance. You guys are all about grind and hustle. In Switzerland, where she's from, if you're sick, you take a day off. No one's going to expect you to work. It doesn't help that her work ethic has been under scrutiny since day one. Being called lazy, especially as a black girl, is not fair. Now, I feel like I always need to put in extra work to prove something, even though I really don't. In general, the girls described competition on Popstar Academy as intense and dystopian. The whole situation reads to me that Manon is just good at drawing boundaries and she's being punished for that. Part 2. Romanticizing dying for your art. Trigger warning for this segment as we will talk about complicated relationships with food and weight and also suicide. So feel free to skip to the next chapter if you'd like to. The K-pop training system is notorious for being hardcore and gruesome. And this is the training system that KATSEYE was built upon. I'm a fan of mostly second, third, and fourth generation K-pop groups, and some of these K-pop idols were candid on how horrifying the working and training conditions were. In an article for The Guardian, it was said that even before auditioning to get into agencies to become their trainees, some people would enter an academy where they train for 9 hours a day, every day, and all this work only to hopefully be recruited. It's like, oh my god, these kids are supposed to be in school. And there's also this thing in the article where if you're like over 17, there's less likelihood for you to be able to join the program. And so kids are auditioning. They're supposed to be in school. Once these people officially become trainees and get into the program, it's also common for them to train 12 hours and sometimes even longer. But the difficult part is, I see why they have to train so long. They continuously have to hone their craft because they have frequent evaluations. And they have to succeed in these evaluations if they want to debut or still be considered within the program. Some trainees are even subjected to weekly weight checks where the weights are then posted up on the wall as like motivation or like a scare tactic, I guess. I don't know if the situation has gotten better, but I wouldn't be surprised if the K-pop training system is still pretty gruesome in some respects. And the saddest element of this whole thing is a lot of these trainees are teenagers. The idea is probably that if they're younger, it's easier to train them. Like, you know how some people say that if you want to learn a new language, it's better to learn it when you're really young rather than when you're an adult. Talk to my friend Duolingo. But because of that, it means a lot of these groups have really young members. Just recently, YG Entertainment announced that they're going to have a new girl group, and the girl they have on their lineup at the moment is 13 years old, and she will be maybe about like 15 once the group debuts in 2027. She should be in school! Another reason why these K-pop groups might have really young members is because their schedules do get intense and packed. Just look at this video of Manon talking about KATSEYE's schedule.
So then we're gonna get glam at 7:30 a.m. Lobby call time is 9 a.m. Photos, then media starts. Oh my god. And then 12 a.m. we have a wake-up call. Fire.
12 a.m. How are you supposed to sleep? What is happening? So having younger members would mean they probably have more energy to endure all of the demanding schedules. However, a cynical part of me can't help but think, what if these companies have young people in these groups, these teenagers, not adults, barely out of their teens, because maybe these companies think that these young people won't know how to draw boundaries. They won't know how to advocate for themselves and to say stop because they don't have the experience to know what is happening is not right. And that's something that I sometimes grapple with being a fan of K-pop. Seeing these young people suffer for my entertainment is sad. I know many people would say that part of the appeal of K-pop is seeing these really hardworking people get their flowers, but is it really worth it? I feel us as humans, right? We like seeing hard work pay off because we like the idea that if you put in a lot of work, you will get extremely skilled and you will reap the benefits. And I think this whole idea appeals to a lot of people, especially people within the arts. My theory is that because the arts industry is so gatekept, the fantasy that if you work hard enough, you will get there is such a nice sentiment because it's so hard to break into the arts industry. That's what I feel sometimes. I'm talking based on my own experience. I'm not saying you shouldn't work hard. I'm not saying these people's hard work is all for nothing. But it's also like, to what extent do we let people burn themselves out to create art, especially when the art is for our consumption and for our pleasure? And are we culpable or enabling these people to remain within this really horrific system and to let the people in power to continue inflicting the same horrendous actions to other people because we consume their art, you know? And it's a little bit sad for me because these trainees, they would train so hard, but it doesn't even guarantee that they would even debut. On the other hand, and this is so sad, for some people, this training is escapism from the realities of what's on the other side. In the Guardian article, Kevin Lee, a BTS backup dancer, also attempted to audition so he can become a K-pop star. He said, K-pop is portrayed as this factory-like industry, but I question this view because everyone in Korea is forced to study for years. If anything, people who are training to become idols are training for something they actually want to become. They are living every day with a purpose and with a dream, and there's freedom in that. Man, it's like this whole world is so messed up because what do you mean this harrowing training system is escapism? But we have to take into consideration South Korea's working culture. This research lays out a lot of reasons why a lot of South Korean workers have depressive symptoms or have depression. In particular, the suicide rate among South Korean workers is 9.47 out of 100,000, the highest rate in the world. Part 3. What does this have to do with Manon? I'm going to be incredibly blunt. Manon does not have a terrible work ethic. She's not as lazy as a lot of people would perceive her to be. She just doesn't fit in with this K-pop training system because she grew up in Switzerland and she knows that if she needs rest, she will rest. And that goes at odds with the K-pop training system where you have to keep grinding and hustling. KATSEYE recently released a video of their Latin America tour, and there are fun parts in the video, but in the video, the girls also mentioned a lot how they are tired, how they wanted to faint. And I'm like, oh my god, give these girls some time off. They deserve all of their success, and I'm pretty sure they really enjoy performing, but it's also like, when are they going to rest? Why are they being overworked like this? But the thing is, for a lot of people who are used to K-pop behind the scenes videos, this is usually what gets featured. The grueling schedule, the pushing through tiredness or body aches or injuries to still perform, even to like getting actual injuries. People do celebrate them for their hard work, and the hard work does show in their performances. But I also ask you the question, do these people deserve to be worked to the bones like this? Yes, they signed up to be musical artists, but that is not an invitation to overwork them. A part of me can't help but feel that the narrative of Manon being lazy is more so because people don't like Manon for bursting the bubble that people are not meant to work this hard, and that these artists can and should prioritize themselves. It feels like she is being punished for drawing boundaries. And I'm not only saying that she is being punished only by the companies, which again, I'm not entirely sure this is what happens, like don't quote me on that. I'm not alleging anything, but it looks like that. But I'm also talking about the people who keep complaining about Manon's work ethic, because it's like, yes, the other girls work hard, but it's also like, we shouldn't punish Manon for wanting to get some rest. Again, I would like to emphasize, I'm not saying this is what happens. I don't know anyone from Hybe or Geffen. They can attest that whatever I'm saying is correct or not. I'm just making an observation that could be entirely wrong. But it's just like, I'm making this observation because there have been patterns of black women being vilified for just wanting to rest. Larisha Paul in the Rolling Stones article wrote, the idea that black women should simply power through or endure mistreatment under the guise of proving themselves is systemic. It is a perpetual test designed for them to fail. It's expected that they not only overextend themselves to prove their place, but also that they should feel lucky to be there and be considered at all. But it's never a privilege to suffer and struggle. Anyway, as of the writing and filming of this video, Manon's status within KATSEYE is still unclear. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if what I'm saying is correct. It is, again, just an observation made by a lot of people, particularly black women within the industry, and also other black people too. But what I can definitely say, as someone who has a marketing background, I feel this hiatus is a very bad PR move, or rather the response or the lack of response that is making this a really bad PR move. Looking at it from different sides, Hybe and Geffen are definitely not looking good in this situation. I do feel bad for all the other girls for having this looming thing over them where they should be enjoying themselves and having fun and performing and doing something that they're passionate about. And it sucks that, you know, this thing is like over their shoulders. But what do I know? But you know what I want to know. I want to know what you think, and I want to know your opinions. What do you think about this whole situation? Please keep it civil below. And thank you for watching this video. If you enjoy it, please like it, comment on it, and also share it. And consider subscribing to the channel too if you like this video, because I usually make other commentaries, video essays, and other random videos too. Like my videos where I ranked my top 7 favorite snacks that I snuck into the cinemas. Apart from that, I don't really have anything to say. I'm currently on break from school and I am living it up. I'm playing Tomodachi Life, which is exciting. I love it. What am I doing with my life? Anyway, have a good day, dusk, dawn, night, middle of the night, middle of the day, whatever time it is for you guys. Again, let me know what time you are watching this video. I would love to know. I mean, technically I know because I have the analytics to tell me, but I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear your personal experiences, not some aggregated information and statistics provided for me from YouTube. I will see you in the next video. Bye!